Hey all, John from PromptPlayer here. Today we're going to do a demo of our new feature, tool mocking.
So both in the playground and in evaluations, we could mock the response of the tool based on the conversation history and the tool schema definition. So I'm going to go over both how it looks in the playground and evaluations. Before we get into that, you could optionally define the response schema of the tool when you create the tool either via our MCP, API, or dashboard. And this will make the mock more accurate. So you see here, for this specific tool we use for our Wrangler AI, we have defined a response schema. Right? Again, the feature works without that, but optionally to make this feature even more powerful, you could define the response schema here so our mocking system knows what to mock. Anyhow, so let's go ahead. We're going to go to the prompt that uses all these tools. We're going to click the editor. We're going to go to the chat mode on the editor, and we're going to click here, this option, mock tool responses. We could give a scenario, so you could have a scenario where the tools fail or something like that, and then a stop call. I'm not going to do a stop call initially, and I'll show you when it becomes useful. So here, I'm going to say, hi, can you create for me an example prompt that takes a call, transcript, and summarizes the key points. Now what you see here is the prompt calling the tools, getting back the responses, and just cycling through all the tools that are required to perform this action that the LM is asking. And we'll see the trace, the resultant trace at the very end. Okay, so now we could see all of the tools that were called and the tool response that was mocked by our system here. You can see here we have an empty response given. We could go to this request. We could open the trace. And just the way our system works is it has a return result, which is supposed to be go to the front end, the UI. So the last call, the LLM, is blank. And that's when we would use this stop tool option here. We would say, return results. Anyhow, what we could see is we have a full trace end-to-end starting from the question the user asked to all of the tools that were mocked. This is all a mocked response. We didn't call any backend or anything like that. This is based off of the schema that we've defined in PromptPlayer. And then we get the final response where the LLM created the prompt that I asked for. Now, this is great and useful to play around with the playground. You could run with many different scenarios. You could switch the model, and you don't really need to be concerned about wiring everything up in your backend. This also works in our evaluations. I'm going to go ahead and open an evaluation to demonstrate that. So here we have a quick table evaluation I created. We have the question and the URL, just two variables that we're going to use here. Then in the prompt template column, we have this mock tool response. We could flip that on. Same idea. I'm going to go ahead and do return results. Now we're going to run this. Okay, so now we have the completed trace. We even, let me just close this out here. We even get the full price of the trace and then how long it took to answer the question. We see here we got a trace. The trace, as you can see here, it doesn't have that empty response because we added the return result. And what we could do is, in subsequent columns, we could extract the trace, put an LM assertion on the trace, extract different segments of the trace, and compare it and contrast it based off of either LM as a judge or a production result. So I could come in here and very quickly change this model to, let's say, Kimi K3 or some new model that came out, and without having to wire up too much in my agentic harness on my machine, I could either come directly via the dashboard, use the MCP, or Wrangler AI to test different models out together and get a very good proxy of how well it would certain changes would perform in production without having to wire things up. So this is a great new feature. Definitely let us know if you have any feedback or questions